started. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for day 2 of Network After Work's Digital Marketing Summit focused on LinkedIn. Today, our speaker, Benjamin, will discuss LinkedIn lead generation. Benjamin Kepner is the CEO and founder of Global Social Media Marketing and has a decade of experience growing millions in global sales with technology, partnership marketing, and LinkedIn marketing. As a multilingual marketer in English, Mandarin, Chinese, and Spanish, he is focused on collaborating with globally minded entrepreneurs and innovative schools to achieve social media marketing, education technology training, and international business expansion goals. As a former English teacher with the Ministry of Education in Spain, he was accepted as one of 5,000 Google for Education certified trainers worldwide to transform education globally. In addition to this, he is also the communications chair for Mile High Young Professional, one of only 100 global Hootsuite ambassadors, event manager for Network After Work in Denver, and an Instagram influencer to inspire Denver community engagement. As Benjamin goes through his presentation, feel free to leave your questions in the Q&A section or in the chat. And without further ado, I will now hand it over to Benjamin.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie, very much. And hopefully we are good to go with everyone seeing my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and present. And let's begin. So again, thanks for the warm introduction, Network After Work and Natalie. My name is Benjamin Kepner. Today I'm going to be talking about LinkedIn lead generation legends. And you might be asking yourself, well, what are these legends that he's going to be telling us about today? So to start, I would definitely say make sure that you stick around for the entirety of this presentation today. I'm actually going to be giving out a legend of its own, which is called LEADCONNECT. It's a lead generation automation tool that you can use for your LinkedIn if you're using LinkedIn Premium. I'll be giving a promo code so you can get a discount at the end of that if you're interested in using that tool. So to kind of start with LinkedIn, most people here that are probably on this digital marketing summit are well aware of what LinkedIn is, but I think it's just good to just kind of briefly go over that, right? It's a primary channel for many business professionals, more used in the B2B space normally than the B2C space. There's 700 million users as of last year. And we can also go there for different things such as content, right? Thought leadership, blogs, articles, and events. I know personally that I've been paying attention a lot to the LinkedIn news features that they've had recently. And you could just kind of also see some of these stats here again, how it is highly appealing to B2B professionals. And that's probably why we're having this presentation today, is how can you use this to generate leads for your business? So when we want to talk about lead generation, I like to kind of go back a step and talk a little bit about what social selling is, at kind of more a strategic overview before we go directly into LinkedIn. So what is social selling? Social sales is the process of helping social buyers become customers. And social selling is the art of using social networks such as LinkedIn to find, connect, understand, and nurture sales prospects. Social sales training could include things such as a LinkedIn Sales Navigator feature or using your own social selling checklist. I also saw in yesterday's presentation the mention of the social selling index, so you can check that out for free. But if we want to break this down into a sales funnel for those sales professionals out there or those marketing professionals that understand what funnels are, I think this diagram shows exactly what I'm kind of saying here in social selling, right? Identifying your prospects, connecting with them first. Once you've connected with them, a nice follow-up thank you message is really nice. And then building the relationship from there. You can build a relationship via, direct messages, maybe commenting on some of their things or liking some of their posts, engaging with them in other groups, right? We know that groups are a good place for like-minded individuals or people that are in the same industry. And then just fostering that relationship and providing value, right? I think great networking when you talk about LinkedIn or Network After Work or any place that you go to network is about what value can I bring and what can I give first in the relationship so that I can build that relationship for the long term and have a mutually beneficial relationship. So thinking about value adds, right? Things like checklists, reports, articles, maybe you have a video or a case study of some results you've recently gotten for another client or a success story that you can share. Ebooks, anything else that's downloadable can be great. It doesn't even have to be that complex. It could be a one-pager. I've worked with an insurance agent where he's selling his prices for his insurance rates and using that as a one-pager. So just anything that adds value and educates is great in social selling. So then moving on to that relationship building and that selling, right? So it starts with the connections, but then from there it's going to evolve into content creation. So I actually took two screenshots from my personal LinkedIn of two of my best performing posts in the last year. And you can see that both of the posts actually reached over 3,000 people, which is very good. In my experience for organic LinkedIn, I didn't do any paid promotion or anything. This is just within my network. You can see the first example on the left is a picture of me at a conference. We're collecting an award. I've actually tagged the location that I was at, which was Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. There's also a nice happy image there of people smiling, right? There's me smiling with one of the event organizers. So, I think one, thing to look at this post, right, for generating leads is it did not in any way ask somebody to buy my product. It did not ask anybody to go buy my services or contact me or any of that. It was just a genuine post showing our experience, the awards that we're getting for our company, the recognition. And then I also used those relevant hashtags. I tagged another brand, and I even put a little emoji in there to kind of add some more emotional response to this image. And it's a very bright image too. So if you kind of saw this pop up in your news feed, it would really stand out. Second post on the right is actually a post that I put out as like a Monday motivation. I think a lot of people do go to LinkedIn to get inspired and read success stories or news of other entrepreneurs or things that are working well for businesses. So I've used that. You can use that as well as for your personal self. Think of every Monday putting out something that's a motivational quote or something that's going on within your company. And actually, this was a picture of all of the cities that I had traveled to after our 1 year mark as a company. So I kind of put out, hey, 20% of small businesses will fail in their first year. My company did not. I traveled to all of these cities and I put a little map, and then I made it engaging, right? I actually had an open-ended question where I'm looking for that engagement. You can see those 6 comments where people are probably looking at the map and they're saying, yeah, I've been to that city, Benjamin, or, congratulations, or those types of things. So looking at these 2 posts, I think are good examples of how you can generate leads for yourself, but being genuine and sharing content that's interesting and valuable to your audience and trying to engage them in conversation. So next slide here, this is another example post that I put out in the last year when I was actually looking to hire a WordPress developer for our company. So I know another thing that might be really big for a lot of recruiters that are using LinkedIn, they might be using things like LinkedIn Recruiter. And I'm here to tell you today that you can actually create, post organically on LinkedIn within your network and get tons of responses. This was actually one of my most viral LinkedIn posts ever. You can see that it reached 20,000 people. I paid $0 to do that and put out a question and added some relevant hashtags, and then it just really exploded. A lot of people were reaching out to me saying I have a team member, or, you can see right here at the top of the comments, they actually tagged another person. So I started getting a lot of people tagging this post. I had people calling me and messaging me after they saw this post. So, I know in today's economic times right now, people are looking for jobs. A lot of people and industries kind of changing. Do not feel embarrassed or like LinkedIn is not a good place for you to go out there and ask for a job. I think it's a great place to go there. Use your network. People will be genuine. They'll try to connect you, and you never know who might actually respond, right? I had no idea when I put out this post that I was going to get 195 comments and reach 20,000 people all over the world. It was really amazing to see, wow, there is a lot of power in LinkedIn, especially if you're trying to hire, new people or get leads to hire for your company.
Hey, Benjamin, so we had a question come in. How important are hashtags on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so hashtags is kind of a newer feature that LinkedIn added within the last 2 years, I believe. So it's definitely relevant because if you think about it, people can follow hashtags just like they can on any other social media channel, Instagram, Twitter. Those were kind of like the original guys. But now with LinkedIn, there is a feature on the left hand of your profile where you can follow specific hashtags. So if you're going to develop content in your social selling, it's good to use hashtags that your audience might actually be following so that they can potentially find your content.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
So next slide I'm showing you here is our upcoming webinar. I just kind of wanted to briefly mention this in the presentation. There's a link. I know Natalie will be sending this out, but this is something that I also want to kind of mention as a really kind of creative approach that you can take with LinkedIn right now is Right now, all of us are sitting in this webinar together. Network After Work is doing a digital marketing summit on LinkedIn on webinars. So I wanted to bring that up as, a great idea for you to generate leads for yourself or for your company is try to do something like this. Do a 30-minute to an hour webinar, teach them about your product or services or some tips. And so I've actually got ours that's coming up here on the 18th. And I wanted to kind of transition that into what I'm doing on LinkedIn with that webinar. So another feature that LinkedIn released just within the last year to two is the LinkedIn events. And so I actually am showing a legendary example here of our upcoming webinar. You can see right now we've got almost about 1,200 people on LinkedIn that are saying that they're going to be attending. And that feature right there at the right-hand side where it says invite connections is an awesome feature that they've added now. So if you go to LinkedIn and go create a LinkedIn event, you can do that on your profile near the home page. You can create an event for anything that you want to do. In our case, I'm showing an example of a webinar. You can put the details on the right-hand side. You can have the actual links, or if there's going to be tickets, if you're buying for an event, you would have a nice little cover image, right? We've put the title, we've got the date so that people see it as soon as they come to the LinkedIn page. You can put your company logo and say who it's organized by. You can also invite and share all your networks and start conversations in the event. And that invite connections feature, what that allows you to do is to actually take your LinkedIn network and allow you to invite all of the people in your network. Unfortunately, because it is a new feature within the last year or two, there's not a way to automate that. You are going to have to manually invite all of the people if you're just using your native LinkedIn profile. But it's a really good soft touch point to have people, say, wow, I got this connection from Benjamin. I want to check out this event page. And then maybe they might check out your profile. I've actually seen a huge uptick in my LinkedIn profile views recently this last month because of having this event page. And think about this, with people online and doing all these Zooms and webinars right now, we can't have the in-person networking. Think about how you can leverage something like this in a webinar, create a LinkedIn event, and then build up some excitement for it and get people engaged so that you can guide them and understand where they are, or maybe provide value to them to kind of move them further down the buyer journey cycle for whatever your product or service that you're selling.
So we have a question that came in, Benjamin, from Rachel. She wants to know, are you able to use the event feature for business pages? She's never seen this feature before and wants to know.
Correct, yes. So you would have to be a organizer of a company. You should be able to get granted that. I would say if you're not within your given marketing department, reach out to them who manages your company page, and you will have to tie it to a company. So that was a great question.
Okay, we have one more. Let's see. They wrote in saying, where can you create an event on LinkedIn? Can you give more direction on how to actually do that?
Right. So if you have a LinkedIn company page and you have access to that company page, you will be able to see a section on the right-hand side of that LinkedIn company page that says create an event. That's one option. A second option is you can go onto your LinkedIn homepage, and on the left-hand side, there should be a feature again to create an event for your company page as long as you have access to that LinkedIn company page.
Great, thank you.
Great. So yeah, so I think the LinkedIn event thing is really a creative tactic that I'm very interested to see how many people show up to our upcoming webinar and see if we generate leads and business through that. It's a really nice soft touch point, and it's a good way to connect with people. So next thing I'm going to move on to is the legend of LinkedIn Premium. And I think this is a kind of a heated debate with a lot of people sometimes of, do I need LinkedIn Premium? Do I not need LinkedIn Premium? And I think the answer just depends on if you're trying to generate leads or not on LinkedIn. If you are trying to develop new business or sales, I would say without a doubt you need LinkedIn Premium. And it's mainly because of these 5 reasons. Number one, you have the email feature where you can message contacts that you're not connected to. So if I see a company or someone that I think could be a good client or a good customer for me, having that LinkedIn Premium does give me that ability to have an allotted amount of email features per month to message people that I'm not connected to. Second thing that it does is it allows for premium search filters. So obviously on LinkedIn, they have a search feature just like every other social media network that's out there. But by having the premium features, you can filter by different types of things and get more granular on really developing and defining those specific buyer personas that you might be looking to do business with. Expanded profiles is just going to allow you to see everything in your given profile and the other person's profile. Profile views, I think, is huge. I think a lot of people are not taking as much advantage of that as they could be. So, when I mentioned the LinkedIn event page, I started noticing I got a lot of views, and I could see also a correlation of people that had saying they would be attending the LinkedIn event. They also had viewed my profile, right? So that's someone that's more engaged with me. They're seeing, more about me or my company. And if I'm a salesman, or if I am, maybe looking at even a competitor or something, I could see if my competitor is creeping on me, or maybe if there's a new business opportunity and somebody's looking at my company. That's a great opportunity for me to reach out. I think a lot of people look at their views and they do nothing with it. If somebody views my profile, that's an immediate, almost kind of open-handed, like, hey, I have premium. It's shown, in that gold logo on my logo on my profile. So that I can see my views if you know what LinkedIn Premium is. And if I see you viewed my profile and I send a follow-up message, it's not a weird interaction at that point, right? It's like going into a room, a cold room, and you've never met somebody, and you're seeing them the first time in the networking room, and you don't know what to say, but they've seen you in person visually. That's kind of how I like to make that analogy with a view. It's like if I was in a networking room and somebody had looked at me, that's kind of inviting me to, give them a, hello, how are you? What caught your attention? Those types of things. Open link is also just having that ability to network and be open with more people. Also, if you don't have on your personal profile, you should have a customized URL so that if people are searching for LinkedIn, or if they're searching Google, that they can find you. So these are some of the features that LinkedIn Premium, in my opinion, are the main benefit for why you need LinkedIn Premium to generate leads, is to have that open, data connectivity, ability to engage and converse with people, as well as find the right people that you'd like to talk to.
Benjamin, we had someone write in regards to LinkedIn Premium. Are LinkedIn Premium and LinkedIn Sales Navigator essentially the same thing, or is there an advantage of one over the other?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Personally, for me, I don't use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I think the main purpose of LinkedIn Sales Navigator was developed for sales professionals, versus LinkedIn Premium. You want to think of that as more as a general premium feature that you would have as a social media user of LinkedIn. A lot of the features are very similar, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator should have very more specific sales focused features. And I can't really comment on this presentation. I would say if you have either of them, they are both good solutions. I don't think that you need both of them. And they're also pretty cost effective. Also, one final note on that question, you can get LinkedIn Premium for free for 1 month. If you just look for a promo code on Google, or if you go to LinkedIn, they will offer that. I don't know with LinkedIn Sales Navigator if they offer that feature, unless you're gonna download like one of their ebooks or something like that. So you can feel free to see the exact differences also on LinkedIn's company website. They'll show you the different features, but in my opinion, I think LinkedIn Premium is a good holistic strategy. Unless you're going to really be focused on sales, then maybe Sales Navigator is a great option for you.
Awesome, thank you.
So I wanted to show, obviously, some legendary people that I've worked with in their own rights, and not just show myself or my profile, but show actual clients that have worked with me and my company. And this is an example of a independent life insurance that's based in life insurance broker that's based in Atlanta, Georgia. His name is John Hanna. And you can see an example of his profile that we optimized for him, right? So, what makes this profile allow him to generate more leads? Well, number one, he's really using a good use of his banner, his cover photo. I see a lot of people that just leave that blank. They leave it blue. That is prime real estate. If you know anything about websites, and you've seen maybe when you go to a homepage of a website, right? That's what we call above the fold. That's the first thing that you see before you scroll anywhere down a website. Same thing with your LinkedIn profile. And you can look at our screenshot. I'm only going to see John's main information up here, his about section. Maybe if he has some featured posts, I won't even be able to see his experience or his groups or any of those other features until I scroll. So I would say, number one, you need to give people an opportunity to become a lead for you by giving them the right information at the top of your profile. You can also see he's got some call to actions there. He's immediately adding value, right? He's saying, I'm going to give you a free quote. I'm giving you my phone number and my email directly if you want to reach out to me and get some of my rates. And then he actually has on the left-hand side the different types of quotes and different types of life insurances that he offers to his relevant audiences. So I already know what John does. He's got a great description of what his title is. He's got a professional headshot and suit and tie that's very business professional. You don't have to have that on LinkedIn, but I think, LinkedIn being a professional place, I would say don't have pictures of, things that are not relevant to your business or something that you want to portray of your personal brand professionally, right? Other thing in that back skyline, right? He's got an Atlanta skyline. It's a nice kind of like purple, black, orange color contrast, so it's aesthetically pleasing. He goes into his about section. He starts off immediate with as a independent life insurance broker. I help business owners and individuals. I know exactly what he does, who he's trying to reach, who his audience is, and then the features right there. Those were some dynamic images that we can add. So you can add multimedia to your profile. So again, if you're a salesperson, which John is, then it might be a really good option to put at the top of your profile and the featured under your about section, featured sales sheets. Maybe you have a featured presentation deck. Maybe you have a recent article that's being released on your industry or trends. Everything in that beginning of John's profile right here is giving me the ability to get in contact with him. And if I was on his profile and I clicked into his contact info, he also had his phone number, his email listed, his name, everything that he's able to not have somebody not be able to get in contact with him and know what he does immediately. And I think some people don't have all that information there. And I would say, if you're using LinkedIn as a place to generate leads, you need to allow people to have inbound leads come to you by providing that contact information, giving them value to reach out to you, and then immediately knowing how you can help them. So when we looked at the, who viewed your LinkedIn profile, this is an example of my profile. I just wanted to show you guys that as we can see how many people are trending, right? So since I've been promoting that LinkedIn event, I'm getting more views now. I've also had the speaking engagement coming up. So I had some people reach out to me before the presentation, and we can actually see who's viewed our profile, right? So for example, with Alaire Castro here, she's doing business support. Maybe she's reaching out to me as a CEO. She's trying to maybe sell something to me. I know that some of these other people down here, they're in the marketing industry, so they might have been actually looking at my profile to think about attending the webinar. Those are maybe potential leads for me now that I can go and message, right? There's that message button right there. If I'm connected to them as a first degree, because I have LinkedIn Premium and I have enough email messages, I can also email them. So, looking at the viewed profile should tell you two big things here. Number one, am I putting out content and are people viewing my profile more? Are they engaged? Are they curious to learn more about me? If I'm seeing an upward tick going up, then I can, kind of correlate that to some type of action that I'm taking on LinkedIn. That could even be me engaging with other people's posts. It doesn't have to be me putting out content, but I know that that's happening because I've invited people to our upcoming webinar, and people are checking me out, to see, oh, should I be at this webinar or not? The second thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at who's looking at my LinkedIn profile. Are they people that are trying to do business with me? Are they potential prospects? Are they competitors? I can go look at their profiles and then I can reach out. Again, think of a viewed profile as a open networking room where somebody has seen me across from the room and they've got maybe a beverage or an appetizer in their hand and they're looking for somebody to talk to. Hey, I noticed you across from the room. Same reach out on LinkedIn could be, hey, I noticed you looked at my LinkedIn profile. How could I be of help? What caught your interest? Did you know about our upcoming webinar that's coming up? I think it could really help you in your business. Kind of to close here with John Hanna, we've got the kind of like the back end of his company page so that you can also now another feature with LinkedIn that you can do is you can see the types of people that are actually, viewing your company page. These were some titles that we were targeting for John Hanna when we were running some ad campaigns for him. So I was trying to match up, hey, do these titles that we did some ad campaigns match up with some of your your company visits or your profiles, right, that you can do. And I wanted to show that and then also kind of I know I went ahead, but kind of showed this slide too on our company page, right? So that new feature that was just added by LinkedIn within the last 2 months is it will show you that trend of who's viewing your company page. So you've got 2 different points, right? You can see people that have viewed your profile with LinkedIn Premium. And if you have access to your company page, you can see who viewed it and you can see who's followed it, right? So you can actually see the trend here of like when we're getting followers, when we're not. And if we're having people follow us on our LinkedIn company page and they're viewing our LinkedIn profile, well, we can kind of qualify those people at that point as marketing qualified leads. They're interested in our product or service or our background. Those are great opportunities for us to reach out. So I'll just kind of go back to publisher unless there's any questions in between here right now.
Let's see. So Dick wrote in saying, what should I give first priority what should I give first priority to, posts or articles?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think start with posts first because they're easy, right? You don't have to go write a long article to have an engaging post. I just showed you guys in this example today of me putting out a 1-sentence open-ended question with 3 hashtags, and it was the most viral post I had. So start with something post, start with a nice image or an open-ended question would be my best advice. And then if you have more time, write an article and you can feature it just like this article that I was actually going to segue into.
Awesome. We have one more question that came in from Elizabeth. Should I include all my degrees or just those relevant to my current business?
Should you include all of your relevant degrees?
So should she include all of her degrees or just those that are relevant to her current business?
Yeah, so if you're asking degrees like in what you went to school for, I would say, yeah, you want to lift all of those educations out. Is that her question exactly? Did I clarify that?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, so I would say just as another side note, kind of a one-up to that question is the more that you can have your LinkedIn profile filled out, the better. There's really no reason why you wouldn't want to fill out all the sections. I know that some people have said, don't put work experience that's not relevant to your career, your industry, or profession. But in my opinion, if you've been in a job for more than 2 years, I think that's relevant, especially in an economy where average person doesn't stay at a job for more than 2 to 3 years. That shows growth. That shows that you can stay somewhere. That shows that maybe you have turned into a leader or you had successes in another role. And you can build off. And if you've got, things that were part-time, like high school or in school or internships that are outdated, then yeah, focus on the things that you think can provide the most value when people look at your profile.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, that was that was a great question into that article question. So, there's another feature now on LinkedIn, or it's actually its own publishing feature, right? I mean, think of LinkedIn now as a modern day newspaper. I know LinkedIn News does a really good job. They've been coming out with a lot of recent live interviews. So if you haven't checked out any of those, there's some really good ones. My favorite one this year was with Airbnb and their CEO. And another feature outside of that is just the actual content creation on LinkedIn to write articles. So if you own a website and you have blog articles, or you have a marketing department or a content writer, or you have some PR that you've gotten for your company, you can literally take that information and just repurpose it on LinkedIn. You don't have to go write a brand new article. Obviously, reference in the article, like if it's been published somewhere else, say the original article has appeared on XYZ, give credit as always due, credit is due for another writer or something like that. But if you want to write your own, even that example with John Hanna, we did a very simple, just 1 paragraph article, put on a nice image. You can see in my example right here, I have a nice kind of image about, it was in the summer. I'm kind of playing on that metaphorical thing of, how to grow your business during a pandemic. And it was an article on all these different social media tactics that social media businesses could grow. And, it got some likes, it got some comments, it got some views, it got some engagement to say, wow, Benjamin wrote a article and now maybe I want to engage with him. That's another great way to generate leads for yourself, is come out with articles that they don't have to be New York Times. They can be very simple 1-2 paragraph things that are educational and provide value. LinkedIn groups, just like any other platform that is trying to develop in social media, right? Facebook is very focused on Facebook groups for the future. So is LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn groups is a great place for you to segment people. Let's say I'm a sales professional, and in my case for global social media marketing, right, we're selling social media services generally to business owners. So I might be looking in LinkedIn groups that have business owners, right? That's an example right now. There's an example on LinkedIn that has 56,000 business owners. Or if I was trying to sell to another insurance agent, like I showed with John Hanna today, there's a whole group of 200,000 insurance agents. And you kind of get the point here, right? There's all of these different segments or industries of groups that you can join to find your relevant prospects. You can also go into these groups and work with your colleagues, right? Let's say, for example, if I'm a CEO, I don't have to just go into the business owners group to sell my services or my products. I can also go in there to network. Hey, what are you doing with your company? How are you handling, the new normal? What policies are you putting in place for future growth? How are you leveraging virtual, or are you doing online events and webinars now, right? Those are great ways for me to just build relationships and talk with other people that are like-minded and are kind of in the same same life path as me, right? They're sharing those same struggles and challenges. So why not go there as a place to converse and build relationships with those people? LinkedIn company pages, I just showed that. Another example I wanted to show was the legend of CONVERCENT. CONVERCENT was a company that I worked with here in Denver, Colorado. It's a computer software. They were focused on developing a software for ethics and compliance. And I just wanted to show some examples of what we did for them as a company using LinkedIn to generate leads. So you can see we did some different types of content. We did webinars, ebooks, articles, events. The sales team was using Sales Navigator. So to that person that was asking that question earlier about, do I need premium? Do I need Sales Navigator? They had an entire sales team that was using Sales Navigator. I think they bought like a package suite where you can call the LinkedIn sales rep. And the HR people were also using the LinkedIn recruiter feature. Here's an example of one of their posts, right? Just kind of talking about what's going on in their industry. They're releasing a survey that's educational and insightful. And that what they did is they ran some LinkedIn lead ads. So you can run paid advertising. I would say if you're going to do LinkedIn advertising, try to work with a social media professional, because social media advertising is its own profession. It is its own job at this point. So I wouldn't expect for you to just jump into LinkedIn lead ads, but there are tons of resources out there that you can use. Obviously, if you want to reach out to me after the presentation, I'd be happy to help. But here's some options that you can do if you want to try to experiment on your own and target some LinkedIn ads on LinkedIn. So those would appear on the right-hand side of your profile. You may have seen those sponsored posts. Think if you know Facebook, you might see those ads on the right-hand side. You could target by things such as their geolocation, what industry they're in, what's their title, what skills do they have on their profile, do they have a specific article that they've written or any videos. These are all features that you can target, right? And so here's an example of how we were doing this at Conversant, right? You can see we were kind of targeting by all of these different types of ethics and compliance decision makers that would potentially buy this computer software. You could see it would actually show me the number of LinkedIn members in the different places that we were targeting, right? We were targeting like the United States and United Kingdom. Those were the primary locations where the business was taking off. That these three audiences were a combined almost 1 million person audience. Then we were running ads, right? You want to think of ads just like you do social selling. Think about it in baby steps to get to the final lead or sale. So running a LinkedIn lead ad, you can run that through a company page. If you set that up, you want to think about, starting with a larger audience size, reaching those people, and then engaging those people. And I know that for Conversant, this was that picture that I just showed you. That was one of their best performing ways to generate leads on LinkedIn. Is they ran LinkedIn lead ads, and they were targeting these very specific people to generate leads. And from there, it was for the salesperson to follow up via form that was filled out on the phone for an exploratory phone call and say, hey, I noticed you filled out a form from the ad. What did you think about the survey, or what did you think about the value offer that we were providing in the ad, and how can I be of service or help to you to solve your business problems that you're currently experiencing right now? So that was an example of LinkedIn lead ads.
Perfect. We actually had a question come in regards to targeting.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you benchmark the success of that kind of targeting? Do you do it by industry, by content type, etc.?
Yeah, I think there's a number of factors that go into a successful LinkedIn lead ad. And I don't think that it's just one or the other. My best advice for you is always start with one variable and then add variables to test. So always start with two main things in your first variable that's most important: audience and value offer. Who do I want to target? Who am I trying to reach that's going to potentially be able for me to solve their problem? And number two, what value can I provide to them without selling them first, right? Think of good networking as something free, something educational, something that adds value to their life to continue that conversation and build that relationship. Once you have those two main things, audience and value offer, figured out for yourself, then you add on all the different advertising things, right? Like test out the same copy, the same text with the same image, and then alternate those, right? So if I have the same copy, then do 3 different pictures and see which picture works the best for one copy. And then once you figure out the best picture, then try out 3 different copies. And then once you've figured all that out, maybe go back and test the audiences and say, okay, which audience is resonating best with this copy and this image? And that would be my best advice on that front with the advertising.
Great, thank you.
So Legend of LinkedIn ProFinder, this is another thing that was actually created around 2015. So personally myself, I've had LinkedIn since 2010. So I'm definitely not the most experienced LinkedIn marketer. I'm kind of the new young buck, I think, on the block of LinkedIn experts where, you know, I have a good network built up. I know a lot of the features. I've generated sales and leads for our company using LinkedIn, but LinkedIn ProFinder, I can honestly say, has been the #1 way that I have generated leads and closed sales for our company to date with LinkedIn. And I know that might sound crazy to some people, but the #1 reason why that's happening specifically for me is because I have a large network where I can get, you know, enough leads. I live in a major city, which is Denver, Colorado, where there's actual leads being filtered into LinkedIn ProFinder. And I have a very well optimized profile, right? So what makes a good LinkedIn ProFinder profile is kind of seeing what you see here. Like you want to have, you know, something that focuses around the services that you offer versus maybe your titles. So that's just a quick little trick that I use in my actual title of my LinkedIn profile. I don't put that I'm a CEO. I put the services that I'm offering. #2, what I do is I have a nice like kind of bio. I say who I help and how I help them. I have my contact information below here that you would be able to see. And I actually have at the top a call to action or something that I can add value again, right? I'm saying right off the get-go, here's value for even coming to my profile. I'm having a webinar that's going to show you how to grow your business with social media. You should check it out. We talked about the services. We talked about the goals. What LinkedIn ProFinder does, right, is it's a freelance marketplace. So I'm sure a lot of people on this call have heard about things like Fiverr or all these freelance marketplace places that you can go get freelancers. Well, that's what LinkedIn ProFinder is. And this is what it looks like on the back end. So I do have to have LinkedIn Premium, #1, to have a LinkedIn ProFinder account. So again, that question of LinkedIn Sales Navigator to LinkedIn Premium, maybe another awesome feature of LinkedIn Premium is that I now get a LinkedIn ProFinder account, and I can create that ProFinder account just like I showed you, and LinkedIn sends me leads. I get inbound leads sent to me. They get sent to me via notification and via an email, and they're coming from the services that I'm saying that I'm offering. So for me, I'm using these main services when I go set up my LinkedIn profile account. I'm saying I offer social media marketing, I offer market research, videography, video editing. You get the point. Locations where I'm based, I can say I'm willing to help you with work in person or remote, and that you can contact me for business inquiries, right? This right here is my templated message that I send when I get leads sent from LinkedIn ProFinder. Take a screenshot if you guys are watching this on your computer. This exact message that I use is exactly what closed a client for me of almost a year. And I alter that message very rarely. It just depends on what the service is that the person's looking for. So you can see in the project request, this is what it looked like, where they said, I need Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I'm making sure that I mention that. hopefully somewhere around social media or Twitter, LinkedIn, right there, right in the copy. I want to drive purchases on my website. So I literally plug that back in right here. And I can say that I can do that, right? And then it says, the project's ongoing. When do you need this in the next 2 months? I give her an opportunity, to contact me. At that point, the cool thing about LinkedIn is it's not like all these other freelancer marketplaces where they're going to charge me if I get the sale. This is an open communication channel where they field me the request. I click view request. I see the request. I send the message, and then I take them off of LinkedIn. I don't need to keep them on LinkedIn at that point. I can just have the back and forth messages, and then I'm trying to drive them to my email or to my phone and set up an exploratory call. This is a really cool way in any profession to get leads for yourself. If you live in a major city, the way that you get the leads, just to kind of close that with, is it's based on your zip code. It's based on your connections. So for example, if you have a first degree connection and somebody's getting the job out there, you may see that LinkedIn lead come in because you're connected to them, or you're connected to them a second degree connection. Another third thing that I know directly from LinkedIn that they told me from their ProFinder side of the business is articles do help your profile, and recommendations also do help your profile get more leads. So if you can do all of those things, be in a major city, put those services, have an optimized profile, send out messages when you get notified, and be connected to people, you're going to be able to generate leads for yourself for free that are getting sent to you via LinkedIn ProFinder. It's a really cool feature to have. Any questions?
We had quite a few come in. Let's go and see if we can tackle at least one or two of them.
Okay.
How important is it to post a video on your profile?
I think video is great. I think it's the question, and how unimportant is it not to have a video on your profile? When you think about video in 2020, everybody's consuming more video. Also, we know with LinkedIn that the number one piece of content when you post on LinkedIn is a video platform, because it considers that higher quality content. So I would say having a video on your LinkedIn profile is a must, in my opinion, in 2020.
Awesome. Let's go with one more. How can I cross promote with other businesses? For example, can I tag others and reach their followers or contacts much like you would on Facebook?
Right. Great question. You can definitely tag other brands. So in that example that I showed of me collecting the award at Caesar's Palace, right, in Las Vegas, I did not have to do anything there for them to be notified. However, if the question is asking, how can I get on their profile, or how can I have Caesar's Palace post for me, that is something that you're going to have to go directly get in contact with that person. Here's a little creative hack. You could do exactly what I did. Put a post out there that's including the cross promote of the other brand. Once you post it, put another comment right below your post, or before you make the comment and you're tagging an actual individual at that point. Let's say you go find who the person is that manages Caesar's Palace LinkedIn company page. I could then tag them in the comments and just say something really nice like, hey, I had a great experience at the Caesar's Palace, and I know that you would love to share this with your audience if it provides value. Would you mind sharing this? That creates a personal connection, and the manager of the company is getting tagged. If you want to take it a step further, go to the actual company page or the person that you think manages the LinkedIn company page and say, hey, would you mind sharing this with your followers on your page? Would you mind sharing this as a post? I think that's the best way to go about cross promotion with posts.
Okay, we had one more come in. Where can you find the ProFinder feature?
So if you go to Google and type in LinkedIn ProFinder, it's actually its own website. So you will have to go access that through the LinkedIn ProFinder website, and you will have to have LinkedIn Premium in order to set up a LinkedIn ProFinder account.
Awesome, thank you.
So with kind of the LinkedIn messages, that's really, I think, where a lot of the gold is on LinkedIn too. I'm doing for our webinar right now, right? We've got a lot of those people that you saw that, 1,200 people right now. And I'm really kind of in the midst of doing a manual grind right now of taking those event contacts now and now following up with them in LinkedIn messages. And here's one thing that I would tell people that are in sales or somebody that's trying to aspire to generate leads for their business is social media originally was created as a place to connect and to converse, to have conversations with a given community. If I'm putting out content all the time about me, and my company, and I'm marketing it to the masses, I'm not really taking the time as a sales professional to build relationships. I'm trying to build relationships with thousands of people at once, which is just not realistic or feasible. If you think about it, we need to build relationships on a one-to-one basis. So that's what LinkedIn Messages allows us to do. If we have LinkedIn Premium again, we can even send email messages to people. And we want to think about it as a social selling sales cycle of, all right, we want to connect with the person first, maybe send a personalized note so that we grab their attention instead of just a normal invite connection. Once we've connected with them, let's do a message of like, I noticed this about your profile, or I see that you know so-and-so in your Connect network, or I really loved your article that you wrote or your post that you put up last week. Taking it one-to-one now is putting it in a place in a direct message where we really want to think about LinkedIn Messages as email at this stage in 2020. And I'm actually seeing for our LinkedIn event page right now, getting more responses from LinkedIn Messages than I am from actually having the person's email and sending them the email, because people are emailed out, right? People are getting emails all day. I might not be their top priority. They might think I'm spam. But how many LinkedIn messages do you get a day? I think would be a great question to look at. I know for me personally, I might get upwards of 5 to 10 in a day. So I might get a couple of hundred a month. But if you think about that, I probably get 20 to 30 emails at least a day, and I'm getting only 5 to 10. So you kind of stand out more already if you're sending me a message versus an email. It's also, a lot of people use LinkedIn on their mobile phone. They check it. They check their LinkedIn in the morning or before they leave. So, I think just think of LinkedIn messaging as another email tool in some ways, and a really good place to create better one-to-one connections to generate leads. That would be a huge tip, I would say, for people to focus on creating content directly with a person versus just to the masses. So that kind of leads me into the tool that I wanted to showcase for today's presentation. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, which is LEADCONNECT. LEADCONNECT is a LinkedIn lead generation automation tool. They actually reached out to me, funny enough, through LinkedIn Messages. So it's a good little segue there of their head of business development and sales reached out to me, and his name is Bhavin. He's based in India, and he said, Benjamin, I've noticed your LinkedIn profile. I see that you offer social media marketing services. Have you ever thought about introducing a LinkedIn social media lead generation tool for your clients using our proprietary tool? And he literally sent that message through his tool. So what this tool allows you to do is it allows you to automate your messages so that you don't have to go manually send one by one people. You can connect them. You can connect LEADCONNECT through your given browser as an extension and connect it to your LinkedIn profile and send automated messages where you're sending them, a nice welcome, and then you can do it from a moment of when you connect them, right? There's an actual delay too, which is kind of nice. So think of it as like, if anybody in this LinkedIn educational call today has looked at like email campaigns, right? You know that you can send an email and then, get another email in 7 days. Same thing that you can do with LEADCONNECT. You can kind of time out your LinkedIn messages and have different types of outreach applications. So here's an actual success story from their head of business development, right? Where he's sending it directly from the tool, and and then he's grabbing their interest, right? He's just sending them hey, I connected with you, and have you heard about this tool that can get you leads? And he asks an open-ended question, and then he sets up a time to book a demo, or he gives them their email, right? And that's using LEADCONNECT as a mass bulk to be able to send hundreds, if not thousands, of messages every week that add value. You're creating that one-to-one communication, and almost like having an email marketing tool. So I do have that as kind of as a freebie here as we kind of wind up. I'm going to leave it open for questions here at the end. But if you're curious to check out that tool more, I do have a special code that I've created for you guys. You can type the link into your browser. I know that Natalie will be more than happy to share that with you in the presentation. She told me that she'll be sharing that with you guys today. All you have to do is go to that link, click on it, enter in your information, and you will get a promo code to get a discount on that. You can try it out. Tell them you heard about it from Benjamin, and tell them you want to talk to Bhavin. Also, I've got the free co-hosted Facebook webinar coming up. Feel free to go to that webinar. It's going to be jam-packed with all the other social media channels. I know today's focused on LinkedIn, so if you want to figure out how to generate leads elsewhere outside of LinkedIn, there are other social media channels that you can do that, so feel free to check that out. And then here at the end, I wanted to give you everything I could with LinkedIn. And for LinkedIn, I've got my profile, I've got our company page, I've got my PROFINDER account, I've got the webinar, I've got my phone number, and I've got my email. So I really appreciate Network After Work and Natalie having me. I actually have to get my charger here before I lose battery on the computer, but I'll leave it open for questions now, and I really appreciate everyone attending my presentation today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Benjamin. And for everybody asking for the links, I went ahead and posted Benjamin's webinar and the promo code in the chat box. So if you just click those links, it should take you directly to those pages. And we'll go ahead and get to some questions. We actually got a lot of questions for this presentation. So let's start with this. What is a good resource to learn how to use these LinkedIn features in the future?
Right. Yeah. So I think to learn some of these features in the future, number one, at our company, Global Social Media Marketing, we have a YouTube channel that has LinkedIn marketing course. So feel free to check out my company and check out our YouTube channel. We have a LinkedIn marketing course. Number two, I would just say with anything in life, the more you use it, the more you're going to learn it. So just spending time in the tool every day, right? Clicking on things, looking around, being inquisitive. And then obviously I think Network After Work, also another great resources, right? Like I was in the presentation yesterday. I thought there was some really good value in that presentation. I'm sure the presentation tomorrow is going to be stellar. And you'll have access to all these presentations too, which I think from the three speakers should really give you a solid understanding of some of the LinkedIn features.
Awesome. Let's see. If I'm not connected yet to someone, how do I message them before connecting?
If I'm not connected to someone, how do I message them before connecting? Great question. So you can do that with InMail. InMail is that feature that you have with LinkedIn Premium where you can send messages to people that you're not connected with.
Awesome. Let's see. Is there an easy way to figure out which hashtags are working best for you?
Yeah, I think the way that you want to look at that is just looking at your engagement of your content, right? Looking at that one kind of viral post that I showed you, I only had 3 hashtags, but they were all super relevant for the content copy that I was putting out and what I was trying to achieve with the post. So I would just test some of them out, and then if you want to, recycle your content. Maybe use the same copy and image and just use it 2 months later and change the hashtags and see which one works better 2 months later or a month later.
Awesome. How can you convert views, shares, and comments into actual clients?
Great question, right? That's the secret sauce. So I guess, tomorrow's presentation I've heard is going to do a really good job at explaining that. So I'm going to leave that to the expert for tomorrow. But in the short term, I think the answer for me is create conversations, right? In sales, you don't just normally how many people have you had call you and you buy their product or service immediately when they call you? That doesn't really work well in sales, right? Or just because they know about your company, they're not going to buy your product or service. It comes back to good networking, developing relationships. If somebody views or shares your video, that's an open-ended invite to say, I'm engaged with you, Benjamin. What's next, right? It's like if I went on a date and I got a text message saying it was a really nice dinner. I had a really good time, Benjamin. I'd love to see you again. You need to initiate that engagement with what's the next proactive step. So if somebody watches my video, I might say hey, what did you like about the video? Or what videos would you like to see in the future? Or if they share my post, I might go to them and say, hey, I really appreciate you sharing this content with your audience. Is there something else that you think that your audience would like to see from me that you would also like to share? Or what benefit did your audience get from that share? And then once they get in a conversation with you, then maybe transfer them into the phone call. I know for tomorrow's expert, I've talked with both of the LinkedIn speakers, and I reached out to both of them personally immediately and messaged them on LinkedIn, direct one-to-one again, and set up a phone call with them. And we just chatted, and they were very open to it. I mean, you would be shocked if you come in in the right way, in a way to help, in a way to learn more about them. people are open to setting up a call or giving you their email to set up a meeting via LinkedIn messages. You'd be surprised. So that's what I would say is do a public engagement and then take it to LinkedIn messages.
Perfect. What's a good message template you can send to a prospect without being too pushy or salesy, getting them to buy your product or service?
Yeah, great question. I think a lot of people message me every day trying to come in and sell me something. And you know what I think that they are missing is that value in the beginning. So I want to go back to that is knowing your audience and the value that you provide to them. You know, for example, with this speaker tomorrow, she offered 30 minutes of her time to review my LinkedIn profile as a LinkedIn expert. I mean, that's what she does for a profession. And she gave me a 30-minute chat and we connected and it was great. She talked about her daughter. I mean, that was a really good approach, in my opinion, that as soon as we connected, she was already coming in and saying, hey, I want to set up a call with you so I can improve your profile. Don't come in and say, hey, can I get you on the phone to do a demo? Or, I think you could really use our services. Like those are the messages that I get spammed with every day on LinkedIn. And guess what? I don't really ever talk to those people on the phone. But for the example of the speaker tomorrow, go to her and look at her as a great example. She was getting on a phone call with me so that she could improve my business or provide value to my business. And so then that's when I said, I want to talk to you.
Awesome. Dave wrote in and said, looks like ProFinder is for freelancers. What if you're a salesperson for a company? Can you just use ProFinder and just list your company's services?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, LinkedIn ProFinder was developed specifically for freelancers in the beginning, but I'm the CEO of our company and the head of sales, so I'm using it for sales. So I think while it was innately used for the freelancer marketplace, on a sales side, if you're in a sales role, all you need to do is set up a profile and then use whatever industry that you're in and then use the services. So for example, if I was a design company, I know that's something that's really big, and I'm a salesman of a design company, right? I would put all of those freelancer skills or freelancer services as the salesperson and just let them know, hey, my company sells this. This is my LinkedIn ProFinder account so that I can sell you these freelancer opportunities with my company or contractor rates or things like that. So think of it as like you can still be a salesperson, but you need to communicate that in your profile and say that the services that you're offering are services that your company offers.
Awesome. I think we can take two more questions. So here's the first one. Can I link my Salesforce account to my LinkedIn account?
Great question. I don't have the definitive answer on that, but my hunch is yes. I've seen some sales professionals using Salesforce, right, the automation of their CRM tool to be able to post on LinkedIn. So I know that they do have an integration with LinkedIn. And I also believe that Sales Navigator is a more advanced feature that I think is also connected with Salesforce. But personally, I do not use Salesforce currently, so I'm not going to give you the definitive answer on that, but that's what I know as of right now in this call.
Okay, great. And our final question, given time limitations, what is the most important thing to focus on in LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think being consistently there and present every day is the easy answer. When you wake up, when you check your email, you should go and check your LinkedIn too. Make them like a part of the same task. Go reply to all your emails for the day, then go into your LinkedIn and go, send 10 messages. Think of it as an email that you should check it every day in the morning and every day you leave for work. You've, had some brief message or communication with at least 5 to 10 people. And if you don't have time to, communicate with 5 or 10 people on arguably the world's biggest B2B 700 million user platform, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's where people are spending their time in business outside of email, and it's a great place to be engaged on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today's presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed Benjamin's presentation. Again, if you have any questions for Benjamin, he has his phone number there. I posted his LinkedIn in here, as well as the webinar that he has coming up. And for anybody that would like to join our virtual networking event, it's taking place now for the next hour. I went ahead and added the link in the chat one more time. And again, thank you, Benjamin, and thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalie. look at all these comments.
Lots of positive comments. Everybody enjoyed the presentation.
Yeah, that's so cool to see all the engagement. So cool.